Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video on The Flash Season 9. Today we're going to be talking about the latest teaser that was released for the new episode coming up very soon. This is the first episode with Cobalt Blue, so we're going to be breaking down the synopsis and all the other teasers for episode 10 of Season 9. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. Okay guys, so The Flash is still on break, but we are coming back shortly with episode 9. That is going to be the Green Arrow episode, along with the return of Kid Flash. It teases a potential new crisis that is set to come, and it could have very big changes and consequences in terms of this final graphic novel that we're going to get into in the final few episodes of The Flash Season 9 and The Flash's entire run. So we're going to be talking about the May 3rd episode, which is a New World Part 1. That is the official title of The Flash Season 9 Episode 10. And we've got this synopsis, so we're going to be breaking it down and talking about all my theories about what exactly is going on. So this is how the synopsis goes. Live in the moment. As Iris receives word of a career milestone, Barry is suddenly nowhere to be found. In trying to get back home, Barry runs across many familiar faces. Keone continues to figure out her powers, and Chester works on a suit for Allegra. So this episode was in fact directed by Eric Wallace, so you know it's a pretty big episode when he chooses to direct an episode. And as I said before, this episode is coming out on May 3rd, so we've got a little while to wait for it, but we're going to get episode 9 first, so it's no problem. And as I discussed in yesterday's video, we have the final titles of those final 4 episodes, and that is A New World Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4, so it's a 4-part graphic novel, and they all have the same titles, so you can tell it's going to be pretty full on in those last 4 episodes. So let's break down the synopsis. What do I think this means? Live in the moment. Clearly it just means to live in the moment. And in regards to Iris receiving word of a career milestone, we all know exactly what this is. This is her Pulitzer that has been teased over the last however many episodes. It was teased back at the start of the season in Barry's scrapbook, and they've been basically waiting for this to happen for a while now, and I believe she's going to get word of this in this episode, and this is going to be, you know, a big episode for her in terms of, you know, coming to grips, because that's something she's had to do because she hasn't felt like she's deserved it all this time. And so I feel like maybe she's kind of come around to that more in the last 2 episodes, and when she actually goes to that ceremony, obviously her big goal is going to be to actually go through it and feel like she's actually earned it, and I think she will get around to that. I don't know what episode we're going to see the Pulitzer being given to her, or whether it will be done off screen, maybe at the end of the season, but nevertheless it's pretty impressive in regards to Iris. Let's move on to the next bit. This is the most intriguing bit of the synopsis, and Barry is suddenly nowhere to be found. Now, where could Barry be? So there is a lot of theories that you could get into, but as far as we know, we're pretty sure from behind the scenes photos that he's going to be sent back in time. Now it seems he is going to suddenly be nowhere to be found, so that seems to imply that he's not going to run back in time himself, but he's going to be transported back by some other circumstance. We don't know what that is right now, but someone else is put him back there, it seems. And so as far as we know from those behind the scenes photos, he's going to be stuck in the same day that his mother was murdered, that very same night back in 2000. Clearly this is a extremely important day for Barry, and if he has been transported back here by someone or something, you know that it's probably with malicious intent, because if the time and date has been chosen, they will definitely know the impact that this day has on him. And with this being the graphic novel of Cobalt Blue, played by Eddie Thawne actor Rick Cosnett, you can presume at one point he's going to meet him. Whether we're going to meet him in this episode or the next episode, it remains to be seen, but we know that they are both seen back in time because We had some set photos where John Wesley's ship was on the set along with Michelle Harrison, and they very much so were in the attire of like Barry's parents, and around that same time they were wearing very similar clothes to the night of the murder. And so I believe in this episode Barry's going to get his first whiff of Cobalt Blue, so he's going to get wind of him basically. So he's definitely going to be trying to get back. He's going to be running around trying to speed his way into the future, and you can probably tell that he is stuck because he would normally be able to get back very fast. So maybe some sort of boundary is preventing him from actually going back, and I believe that is Cobalt Blue. But you have to question, is Barry going to create another Flashpoint, and is this the villain's intention? Is this Cobalt Blue's intention? Was Barry sent here on purpose? And I feel very strongly with the theory that yes, he was sent here on purpose, and this was Cobalt Blue's intention to try and get Barry to go back to that night and tempt him to do something about his parents' murder. And obviously if Barry witnesses it again, you're going to see that infamous fight with that original timeline Flash along with Reverse Flash, and obviously we've seen that many times from different angles, especially in Flashpoint and back at the end of season 1. Obviously Barry had to stop himself at the end of season 1 from doing it, and then in Flashpoint obviously he lost his way and he created a new timeline. So is this the intention of Cobalt Blue, to make Barry go back here and actually do this again, mess up the timeline, because maybe he can't change time enough, so he sent someone else to do his bidding? And maybe you could theorize that this night is also important for Cobalt Blue. Like, will Barry changing anything back here actually have some sort of good effect for him? Because why would he want it? Like, I don't think him changing the timeline is going to do Cobalt Blue any good if he's just going to be erased or he's going to forget what's going to be happening. He's clearly got a plan, and you know what that true plan is, it remains to be seen. But if we look at the title of all of these episodes, it's all a new world, and obviously there's 4 parts, so it's going to be a prolonged story. But a new world, what does that hint at? It suggests that new changes, a new world, maybe a new entire timeline, and the fact that there's probably going to be a new sort of crisis or a new sort of flashpoint that's happening, because we know there's going to be plenty of time travel, and that's always risky. No matter what happens, like, there's always going to be something that's going to be slightly changed, and is it going to have a big effect on Barry and the rest of Team Flash and everyone he cares about in the future? That's the main question. And so I'm thinking a new world is just suggesting these new changes, maybe a new timeline or a new entire world that will somehow fix things for Cobalt Blue in the way that he wants to fix it. And so just like Barry did back at the end of season 2 when he selfishly went back in time to stop his mum's murder, he did that in order to try and fix his life, which actually lines up with Cobalt Blue's story in the comics, because he is Malcolm Thorne. He is actually Barry's brother. They were twins born of the same parents, and he was given to the Thorns by the doctor, who was drunk and made a mistake and switched the baby, and he found out later in life that no, he's actually not a Thorn, he's in fact an Allen, but he got jealous of the fact that his brother had this great life and he grew up as a Thorn and didn't have this great life, and so he takes it out on other people, including the Flash. And so I believe something like that is going on right here. But let's move on to the next bit. So in trying to get back home, Barry runs across many familiar faces. Now, who could these familiar faces be? I think it's fairly clear, considering what we know about this episode, that those familiar faces are probably going to be younger versions of our characters. So you're going to see a young Joe West, you're going to see a young Captain Singh. We've seen that in behind the scenes photos. Eddie shouldn't be here, but we know that we're going to see him at some point, because if you think about it, Eddie should be closer in age to Barry and Iris, and so in 2000 he wouldn't have been cop policing age. But the timeline matches up to see a young version of Joe as a rookie cop, along with someone like Captain Singh. And then I think those other familiar faces we're going to be seeing is in fact Barry's parents, and that's because we are pretty sure this is going to be happening before the night of their murder. So you're going to see both of them out in the street, and potentially have some interactions with Barry, because we know at one point Barry does run into them, and so it could be a kind of Back to the Future moment where they don't know this is their Barry or their own kid from the future. And theoretically this is going to be big trouble for Barry, because he's going to have to try and contain everything that he tells them and everything that he does in this time period, because everyone can be clumsy sometimes, and even the smallest mistake here can cost a lot for the future, and Barry knows it. So those are the familiar faces I believe we're going to be seeing. Maybe we'll see a couple of people as well who I haven't mentioned, but I think we're just going to have to watch the episode for that. In regards to the next part of the synopsis, I would say this stuff is a lot less interesting than the time travel Cobalt Blue Barry stuff that we were talking about, because the synopsis teases Khione continuing to figure out her powers. This has been something that has been going on since the very first time we saw Khione, and we've been seeing her use powers occasionally based on her feelings and emotions at the time, but we haven't like fully delved into it because we keep on going back to this thing with Mark and his obsession with Khione becoming Frost. But now that Mark has been away and is going to be away for a few episodes before he returns, we're probably going to have more focus on her and her powers, and maybe getting to know more about Khione herself. So at least there is some decent silver lining to this, and it's not just the same old that we've been seeing recently. But in terms of same old, Chester and Allegra, they're going to be having more scenes together. Chester's going to be working on a superhero suit for Allegra, which makes sense. Like, it's about time that they all get superhero suits if they're out in the field. Allegra's had the worry recently that she's going to be exposed because she heard some rumors about her superhero persona getting more popular out there, and obviously people are going to start maybe trying to look to see who she is, who is that person behind the mask that is able to use those powers. So this story progression makes a lot of sense, so I'm not going to bash it because this is what they've been teasing, and I hope they make good use of it. So once again, this episode is A New World Part 1. This is the first part of the final graphic novel of the entire series of The Flash. This is going to be airing on May 5th. So be on the lookout for this episode. It's directed by Eric Wallace, as I said at the start, so this is going to be a good one. Okay guys, so this is the beginning of the final graphic novel of the Flash's entire series run. So I'm going to have lots of videos out on this final graphic novel, on the final episode, so please be sure to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed this video to help it get spread around across YouTube to other fans of the Flash like yourselves. And then also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos, and go on my channel, watch whatever you guys have missed. Recently we have plenty of uploads up, all to do with the Flash, Superman, Lois, and various other DC related projects. And so for now, click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.